Hello friends, my name is Aubrey. Welcome back to my channel. I'm so happy to have you here with me today. I am so sorry for how inconsistent I have been lately with posting videos, but honestly, and I know I've mentioned this before and I don't want to like harp on it too much or anything, but just different health things and stuff are just making it a little difficult sometimes to create any content for all of you. Like last week, not just last week, I have had a headache for 9 days now that just ebbs and flows in its intensity. And by the time I would get home from work each day last week, I just did not feel up to filming anything. So anyway, but I am trying to get back to posting more consistently. And even though Halloween is over, it is still Halloween weekend. And now that October has ended, I thought it would be nice to do a fun little Halloween book haul. Not that I have like Halloween themed books necessarily in this book haul, but you know, I've got on my Long Live Halloween sweatshirt and I'm still feeling very much in the Halloween mood. So anyway, we are going to go through all of the books that I received in the month of October. And as always, we're going to go through them in order based on where I got them from. So to start, I actually had a Kickstarter come in October, and that was for the first part of the Cosmere RPG. So we have the installment for Stormlight. If you don't know what the Cosmere is, it is a large series of interconnected standalones and smaller series set in the same universe known as the Cosmere, all of which are written by Brandon Sanderson, and it's very popular. I've only read the first book, which is Elantris, so I haven't gotten to the Stormlight Archive yet, but I just think I love RPGs. I love RPG rule books and like player guides and DM guides and stuff, so I thought it would be fun to have these, and so I did back the Kickstarter. So I did receive in this package, because this Kickstarter was both for the Stormlight RPG and the Mistborn RPG, but they are fulfilling it like in installments, so they're starting with Stormlight. So I did receive the Stormlight World Guide, which is so, like, these books are so pretty and like such nice quality. And one of the reasons that I really wanted to get these is because of all of the incredible artwork and lore that these are going to be packed with. So like this is a lore compendium and art book for the Stormlight Archive. So it talks about the different I just completely forgot the word. The different classes and things that your characters can be, the like cultures, the government, the history, just all kinds of stuff about the world of, I think it's called Roshar. Yeah, Roshar or Roshar. But like I said, it's just full of artwork and full of information about this world, and I also love stuff like that. On top of just adoring RPGs and like rule books and stuff, I also really love extra like lore and content and historical accounts and stuff set within fictional worlds. I think that they are so much fun. So this was something that I really wanted to have, and I do think that when I do get to the Stormlight Archive, I will use this like as a compendium of creatures and classes and abilities and places, and I just think that it's so cool. In addition to also having all the stuff for, you know, someone to build and play a game set in this world, but like the art is just incredible. It's so detailed, it's so beautiful. So that was the first book that came in that Kickstarter. And then we have the Stormlight Handbook. So this one is like the player's handbook that goes over all of the information for the tabletop role-playing game, or TRPG. And again, it's just so pretty. The artwork is beautiful. And I love stuff like this. I really like stats and classes and races and character creators. Like, I spend so long when I play RPGs that are video games. I spend so long creating my characters. Their appearances, their statistics, their abilities. Like, I put so much effort into it. And it's just like has all of that plus this gorgeous artwork. So yes, that was the second book for the Kickstarter. And then my tier also came with these 2 little additional books. So we have Welcome to Roshar, which is essentially just like an informational booklet about the planet. So again, it's got, I think there's a map somewhere, but it's just got like information about the planet and the people and the creatures that live there and their culture and environment, and it's just so pretty. And again, I just love extra content like that so much. And then the second one is Bridge 9. This is an introductory adventure. So for any of you who have played D&D, you may be familiar, they put out these like little pre-made adventures that you can follow in order to like kind of help someone who's never DM'd before to learn how to put an adventure together. Like, for example, one of my favorite podcasts is The Adventure Zone by the McElroys, where they play D&D together. And the first kind of like part of it comes from a pre-made D&D adventure that then Griffin uses, because he is working as the DM, which he then uses to like, he changes things and tailors things as he grows more comfortable to make it fit into this world that he then like creates and this story that he is like crafting. But this is, like I said, a pre-made adventure. It has like pre-made characters in the back that you can use if you are so inclined. Like if you have players who are not used to creating characters or who feel like uncertain about doing so in this setting. So, and it basically just talks about like the different parts of the adventure, who they'd meet, what it is that they're trying to accomplish, what foes they might encounter depending on the choices that they make. So obviously it's not going to like necessarily go exactly as the booklet says from start to finish, depending on the players. But I just think stuff like that's fun. And plus it's like an extra story set within the world of the Stormlight Archive. So I think it's really neat. And then it also came with a plot deck. So essentially it has like opportunities and complications. It has initiative cards, event cards, and condition cards. So like a set of cards that you can see some examples on the back. I don't really want to open it at the moment, but you can see some examples down here of like different cards that are included. I'm trying to make it focus. So like you have like Lend Support, Afflicted, Broken Oath. So basically just things that you can pull out again to help enhance the story or help to like move the story along. And then it came with this neat little dice bag, and inside I actually got 2 different, well, I guess, no, I didn't get 2 different sets yet. We're going to get the Mistborn set later, but you have the dice, which are really, really pretty. Like, I don't know how well that's showing up. They're like sparkly and shimmery, clear, but with blue numbers. And like the clear is almost tinted blue, but they're really pretty. And then these 2 additional, so we have 3 of these. I don't know if these are supposed to be like inspiration dice or what. I really like the purple one. But yes, so it came with all of that. And again, this was just the part of the Kickstarter that is geared toward the Stormlight Archive. And then the Mistborn portion, I believe, is supposed to be, they're supposed to fulfill that, I think, next year. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong, but I think it's next year. Okay, so then I have a few books that I got from Barnes & Noble, so some pre-orders that came in. So this first one, actually two in this little Barnes & Noble stack, are books in series that I haven't started the series yet, but the first book that I got in the series was like a special edition and I want them all to match, and I'm afraid that if you wait too long, things go out of print. And so I went ahead, when Barnes & Noble was having one of their pre-order sales, I went ahead and got them. So the first one is book 2 of The Dragon Ships by Scott Rantgen. So this is Rise of Neptune. And the reason that this is a special edition is the first edition, like the first printing, has the pretty sprayed edges, like the scales. And that's what my first book is, which is The Last Dragon on Mars is the first one in the series. So I haven't read the first one yet, but it is a sci-fi with dragons where each planet originally had a dragon that like protected it or cared for it or kept it healthy, something along those lines. But Earth's dragon was killed or sacrificed herself or something. Maybe she sacrificed herself in order to make the planet habitable. But when people have kind of destroyed Earth, which is a kind of common theme I've seen in a lot of different like sci-fi stories and movies and things, they decide to go and colonize Mars. And they think, oh, well, if we kill Mars's dragon, if, you know, the death of Earth's dragon made the planet habitable, then we kill Mars's dragon. That should make Mars habitable. But what they don't consider is Earth's dragon sacrificed herself willingly. Mars dragon did not. So when Mars dragon dies, he or she curses the planet. So fast forward to the current timeline, and you have these children who basically live collecting scrap, and they find something interesting, and I'm sure we can all imagine what that something might be. But I just think it's a really interesting concept. I've never heard of like a sci-fi space dragon story quite like this. And the idea of like the dragon ships, like the title of the series, really also has me intrigued. So I'm very interested. I do really want to read it, and I know that sprayed edges like on a first edition are just, you know, it doesn't matter, but I want it to match. Since I did get the first edition of the first one, I want the subsequent books to match. It's probably just my OCD talking, but there it is. All right, and then the second book that I got from Barnes & Noble's pre-order sale that came in last month was Volume 11 of Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation, or Modal Zushi, the comic. So this is a manhwa or comic adaptation of the novels written by Mo Shang Tongshu. Sorry, my brain went blank for a minute. And these are being adapted by Luo Di Chongcho. So I have already read the novels. I've seen the live action TV show that was inspired by them, which I actually saw first and I love so much, called The Untamed. And so I am just like pre-ordering all of the manhwa volumes as they are released. And so that way, I haven't read any of them yet, but I do know the story. So that way the next time, like once they've completed and I have all of them, my plan is that like my next read through of this story will be through this format. And so I am just kind of waiting till they all arrive, because since I do know the story, I don't know that I would want to like be forced to stop. Not to say that I will read them all back to back, but like I want that option, you know what I mean? Or I want to be able to pick my stopping points because I know how the story goes and I don't want to be like forced to stop at a place that I don't want to stop, you know? So that is my plan. So this is volume 11, the most recent one that has come out. And if you don't know what this story is about, I have talked about it quite a few times on my channel, but we follow our two main characters. The first one, Wei Wuxian, who is adopted into a very prominent cultivation clan after the deaths of his parents. But when he is a teenager, the cultivation world kind of goes to war, and he and his peers are forced to fight in this war, and a lot of terrible, terrible things happen, and terrible things specifically happen to Wei Wuxian. And he ends up creating a weapon that is a little unorthodox, becoming very powerful, and after the war, there are a number of people who see him as a threat to their own power and kind of turn against him. It has a lot about like mob mentality, having a scapegoat, you know, that sort of thing. And he goes through a lot. But then we also have our other main character, Lan Wangji, who meets Wei Wuxian when they are teenagers, and they are involved in all of these things together. And Lan Wangji is basically seen as like very righteous, very upright. And we see their relationship as it develops and as they go through all of these awful things. And basically there's a lot in the story about who is willing to stand by you when stuff goes wrong. And it's just very, very good. It is a Danmei, so it does have romance, and it's just really good. I do kind of like the Untamed better. It might just be because that was my first introduction to these characters, but I love the Untamed. It is quite different in a number of ways from the novels, but the basic premise and the characterizations and stuff are the same, so I love them. I love these characters so much. And then my next book is the other, like, next book in a series that I haven't started yet, and that is The Bookshop at the Back of Beyond by Amy Sparks. This is the third book. I think it's the third book in the it's the third book in the series, The House at the Edge of Magic, which is also the name of the first book. And I have the first two books in the Barnes & Noble exclusive editions, so I wanted this one again to match. So it has the cute little sprayed edges, and it's just very cute. I don't remember much about what the first one is supposed to be about, like about the premise, but it is a middle grade, and I know that there is a child who finds this very, very strange house with all these strange people who live in it, and maybe has to save them. I don't really remember, but I do know that I really thought it sounded adorable when I read the premise, and again, I want them to match, so I am weak when it comes to like ensuring that my editions match if I can, I will admit. And then my next pre-order is the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition of volume 42 of My Hero Academia by Kohei Horikoshi. I just really liked this cover. I am not anywhere close to here. I am on like volume, I think the last one I read is volume 11, so I'm very, very far behind. But I just really liked this cover of Izuku, so I wanted to get it before it sold out. But My Hero Academia, we follow Midoriya Izuku, who is a boy who lives in Japan, far in the future, well, kind of far in the future, and in his world, most people are born with a special ability that they call a quirk. These quirks can be literally anything, but they are genetic, so they are things that these people are born with. They can present themselves in a physical manner, they can be some sort of ability, but there is a small percentage of the population that are born quirkless, so they are born kind of just like as a regular person. And Izuku is one of those people. However, his dream is to become a superhero, because with the rise of quirks, we had the rise of superpowered villains, and so in return, the rise of superpowered heroes to combat them. And all Izuku wants to do is be a hero, but he, you know, is kind of told by everyone around him that he won't be able to because he doesn't possess a quirk. But then one day he meets his favorite hero, All Might, and learns that there might be a way for him to become a hero after all. So it's a superhero origin story. It's really fun. Like I said, I've only read through like volume 11, so I'm really, really, really far behind. I'm pretty sure, yeah, this is the final volume. So I have a lot of catching up to do, but I do really love it. I started by watching the anime, and then put it on pause and started reading the manga and like rewatching the anime to catch up, and I've just gotten so far behind. And right now I've kind of put all of my manga and graphic novel reading on hold because of just my headache situation lately. Something about looking at like the little pictures and trying to see all the details just kind of makes it worse than if I'm just trying to read words. It's kind of odd. I don't really know why, but so I don't know when I'll be able to catch up, but I did want to get this edition because I do love this series and I am going to finish it eventually, and I just really like the cover image for the Barnes & Noble edition, so here we have it. And then the last book that I got from Barnes & Noble in October is The Princess Knight by Kate Jacobs. Clea and, oh gosh, there are Irish or Scottish? I think it might be Scottish. Please someone correct me if you know how to say his name. Domhnall. Domhnall? Clea and Domhnall are an ideal match, or so everyone says. Heirs to neighboring kingdoms, they are an alliance the gods smile on, until Domhnall ruins everything by refusing to propose. Determined to salvage the situation, Clea follows him to Caislean Costa, the military academy he's attending. Sure, the castle has a brutal reputation, but how hard can dueling really be? Warrior Ronan fought and sacrificed for his place at Caislean Costa. He has no time for golden-haired princesses who waltz into arenas like they're attending a ball, cute little otter-like pets in tow. Ronan doesn't want to be intrigued by Clea, but her hunger to prove herself is something he understands. He tells himself there's no harm training her, even if his heart does race around her, even if Domhnall is his best friend. But love is a battlefield, and unfortunately for them all, a very real war is looming on the horizon, one that will put their skills and their hearts to the ultimate test. So this reminds me a lot of Legally Blonde, and that's one of the main reasons I had to get it. I love Legally Blonde. It's one of my favorite movies, the first one, the original one. And this just reminds me so much of it. And also this art is so pretty. And I really, really like the premise. And I think my mom will like it too. So I'm really excited for this one. Like, I really, really, really am excited for it. It sounds so fun. I am going to have to look up how to pronounce all of the names. I did that with, oh no, what is that book called? A Fragile Enchantment, and like, because a lot of the names in there are very Scottish, and so I looked up pronunciations for them, and I'm gonna have to do that here as well. I just didn't think to do it before filming this video, but I will do that so that I know how to say all the names correctly. All right, so now we're moving on to Books A Million. I did place an order from Books A Million when they had some books on sale for members, and I do have the members club card. So I was able to get these for like really good prices, and I'm really happy about it. So the first one that I have, again, is a book that is the second book in a series that I haven't started, but I was really hoping, the first one that I have is the Illumicrate edition, and I was really hoping Illumicrate would do a matching edition for the sequel, but I don't think they're going to because the sequel's already out and they haven't even announced it yet. So I really wanted to get the pretty edition with the sprayed edges so that it at least made me feel a little bit better, and so I splurged a little bit. But that book is A Theory of Dreaming. A Theory of Dreaming. This is the second book in A Study in Drowning by Ava Reed, and it's so beautiful. It's so pretty, and they're the pretty sprayed edges I was talking about. The rationale here is that I was going to pay for the Illumicrate edition so that I would have the matching set, which would have been much more than this, especially since I got it on sale. So that's how I like rationalize this purchase. I don't really remember all of the details for the first book, but I know we have a main character who's been obsessed with this story kind of her whole life, and this idea of this like fairy king that's in the story. And she gets the opportunity to go to the author's house where she meets this guy who is trying to, I think, prove that the author is a fraud, maybe, and, you know, mystical, magical things start to happen. I've heard it's very, very atmospheric and has a good academic like side to it. So I don't know. I'm intrigued by it, and I also think the art is beautiful, and yeah, that's it. That's the reason I bought it. Okay, and then the next one that I got from Books A Million, it is a sequel, but I don't have the first book yet, but there was an illustration that I saw years ago on Instagram from this artist, and it was this little dragon who was left out in the rain. It was this little mini comic, actually, and he was out in the rain, and he found this bakery and was looking inside at all of this bread, and then the owner like brought him inside, and I have loved it ever since. Well, the artist actually turned that concept into a children's book called The Bakery Dragon, and now I don't have the first book yet, but I am going to get it. But I did go ahead and grab the sequel while it was on sale, because I often like to give my two baby cousins, one is 2 and one is let's see, he's like 6 months old, and I do like to give them books with their Christmas presents, or at least I have been giving the older brother some, and so I want to give them these 2 books as part of their Christmas present this year. And of course I had to get a copy for myself. So the second book in the series, like I said, I am gonna get the first one, but I went ahead and got this one while it was on sale, is The Bakery Dragon and the Fairy Cafe by Devin L. Kurtz. I mean, the Fairy Cake, I'm sorry, not the Fairy Cafe. It's so cute. It's so cute. And there's the first book, The Bakery Dragon. I'm so excited to get the first one and to read these and to read them to my baby cousins, and I'm just so excited. Okay, I've loved that illustration, that little comic, for so long, and then when I saw the book, it has been changed and like made a little bit more cartoony, and like a little bit more childlike, like the illustration style, but I instantly thought of that drawing, and then I looked it up, and it is by that artist and based on that little comic, and it just made me so happy. So I did have to get that, and now I need to get 2 copies of the first book so that I will have them ready for Christmas. All right, and now if you are new here, you might not be aware of this, but I do like to collect all of the editions I can of a few of my select favorite books and series, and one of those series is Harry Potter by J.K. Rowling, and they released, I actually already have these editions in the standard edition, but then last year, or was it much earlier this year, they released special versions that had like sprayed edges. And I'm kind of a completionist, and I do want to get all of the editions that I can of series like The Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter. So I did get that one for The Sorcerer's Stone. And then they released matching editions for the rest of the books in the series, and I have been waiting, and they put all but I think 2 of them as part of that sale, so I got them. So we have Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, and the spines do make an illustration, which, like I said, I do already have the standard versions of these, but I wanted the ones with the sprayed edges too. Prisoner of Azkaban, because I am a collector. I am a magpie at heart. So, The Goblet of Fire, The Order of the Phoenix, The Half-Blood Prince, and finally, The Deathly Hallows. And I didn't think to grab the Sorcerer's Stone before filming this, but you can get an idea. The image is of a certain scene from the final book that involves a dragon, so you can kind of see that picture. So yeah, like I said, I do already have the standard editions with that image on them, but my little completionist magpie heart was not going to be happy until I got these as well, so I did. And just in case you are not aware what Harry Potter is about, because I don't want to presume that everyone knows something just because it's popular, in Harry Potter, we follow a young boy named Harry who lives with his aunt and uncle and cousin who treat him very, very poorly. His parents died when he was 1 year old. And when he is 11, he gets a letter in the mail. Well, in the mail. He receives a letter and learns that he is actually a wizard and gets taken off to learn to do magic at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. So basically he learns about this whole magical world that exists alongside ours. However, when he first enters the magical world, he learns that there was in the past, a Dark Lord named Voldemort, and Voldemort's story and Harry's are intertwined together because when Harry was a baby, Voldemort tried to kill him and failed, and that led to his downfall. So Harry is very famous in this world. So we follow his adventures as, you know, there are like dark forces in the world, maybe rising again, wreaking havoc. And each book we follow him in a different year at Hogwarts. So he does age as the books go on. And it's just so delightful and whimsical, and just honestly, the world itself and the characters are so special. They've touched so many people. So I'm a big Harry Potter fan, and yes, I needed these editions to match the first one that I have with the sprayed edges, and also because I would feel like my collection is incomplete. I mean, it's very incomplete. I'm missing quite a few, but I'm working on it, and I would feel like these were missing if I didn't get them. So I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know if any of you are like completionists like me when you like start to do something. I'm like that with video games too. When I play a video game, I have to do all the side quests and find all the things and all the codex entries and stuff, and so it takes me a lot longer than a lot of people to complete certain games. But anyway, then the final book that I got from Books A Million is The Entanglement of Rival Wizards. This is the first book in Magic and Romance by Sarah Rosh. It just sounds so delightful. It also is the first printing, so it has sprayed edges, but the description, it just sounds so delightful. Will they conjure love or evoke chaos? Two rival wizards are about to find out. Sebastian Walsh, Evocation Department, human, the first of his family to pick college over the military. Elethior Torrail, Conjuration Department, half-elf, pretentious a-hole, the latest legacy Torrail at Lesiaria U, both. Magius, research grant finalists. Sebastian refuses to let anyone snatch this away, least of all a snob riding on old money. But what's worse than a nemesis stealing your grant? You could both get it, under the condition you work together. But Theo's broody, takes up their shared lab space with his projects, and his biceps. Brings treats for Sebastian's familiar. When Sebastian's past with the Torrails forces him to choose between his research or Theo, the decision should be simple. But while working with his rival is volatile, falling for his rival might blow up Sebastian's future. So yeah, it just sounds so cute. I don't know. It's college with magic and elves and whatnot, and it sounds adorable, and there's romance, and I've been intrigued by this since I first saw it on Instagram, so when it was part of that sale, I had to get it. Alright, then I got 2 books in from The Broken Binding. The first one is How to Defeat a Demon King in 10 Easy Steps by Andrew Rowe. The cover is so beautiful. I have seen that this book is inspired by The Legend of Zelda, and you can really see that in the art. It's gorgeous. The sprayed edges with the music notes. I mean, it's so pretty. It's also a pretty short little book. But y'all, the Naked Dust Jacket, or the Naked book. The Naked hardcover, listen, like I said, I've had a headache for like 9 days at this point. I'm really sorry if my brain seems completely fried. But that's so pretty. Then we have the end papers, which again, you can see the Zelda inspiration there. Are the back end papers the same? Yes. And it is signed and numbered. So this just sounds so cute. And I am a huge Zelda fan. Link is one of my favorite video game characters ever. And so that inspiration really got my attention, plus the beautiful art. Also did a good job of selling this. For thousands of years, there has been a cycle. A demon king rises and conquers, and a hero is reborn 100 years later to defeat him. Each time, civilizations are ground to dust beneath the demon king's hordes, but humanity has remained secure in the belief that a hero of legend will always save them. There's just one slight problem. It's only been 23 years since the demon king's latest rise, and this time, he's already conquered more than half the world. If humanity simply waits for the hero's return, there may be no world left for him to save. And so, Yui Sha sets out with an ambitious plan, a 10-step plan. She'll find a way to obtain the hero's legendary sword. She'll earn obscure classes, gain levels, and increase her skills. She'll travel to the meticulously crafted dungeons that seem designed for one specific hero to complete. And if she's truly unfortunate, she might even find a fairy. So it's apparently a lit RPG. I think it has maybe an Asian setting. I'm not sure, but the main character's name sounds a little bit Asian, but that could just be coincidence. Like it sounds a little Chinese, but again, that could be coincidence. But it's Legend of Zelda inspired, and it sounds so fun, and I'm super excited for it. I think I'm really gonna like this main character. She sounds awesome. So I have that one. And then the second one that I got from the Broken Binding is Crossroads of Ravens. This is the most recent book in The Witcher by Andrzej Sapkowski. And this edition is translated by David French. This edition is absolutely beautiful. I have heard people speculating on whether or not the Broken Binding is going to do matching editions for the rest of the Witcher series. I have no idea if they will or not, but this is beautiful. And this was the first book in their new science fiction fantasy subscription where they do like more mainstream titles. We have the naked hardcover with the black on black. The front end papers. The back end papers. And I don't think this one is signed. No, I don't think it's signed, but it came with a little sticker. So this is a prequel novel in the world of The Witcher. I don't really want to read the synopsis because I know it's a prequel, but it makes me nervous that it's going to spoil something you learn like earlier on in the series. I don't like to read prequels that come out later, like first. I like to start with whatever came out first chronologically, like in publication order. But I know that this one is like when Geralt is quite young, and still living at Kaer Morhen. So yes, if you are unfamiliar with The Witcher, we follow Geralt of Rivia, who is a Witcher. They are basically enhanced people who go around and fight creatures that are wreaking havoc. So they basically fight monsters, whether those monsters are human or other creatures. And they're pretty reviled by a lot of people because of their job and because of their like non-human enhancements. But I have started the Witcher series in that I've read the first book of short stories, but that's as far as I've gotten. But I do really enjoy, I've never played the video games, but I've watched my brother play them and they're really, really cool. And I did really enjoy the first season of the TV show. That is as far as I've gotten in that so far, but it is a series that I really want to get into. All right, then I had one book come in from Illumicrate, and that is Good Spirits by B.K. Borison. And this book is so beautiful. It has that really classic, vintage, old-timey, A Christmas Carol type of vibe to the artwork. I think it's beautiful to look at. Like, it really puts me in the mood for Christmas, honestly. Just the visuals of it. And then the inside dust jacket. Look at that. That's so pretty. And the naked hardcover also really reminds me of A Christmas Carol and like those old Christmas storybooks. So beautiful. We have the front end papers, the back end papers, and it is signed by the author. Now this is a book that I do plan to read with my mom. She thinks it's also gorgeous, and I read the premise to her and she really liked it. So we're gonna read it, I think, either at the end of November or the beginning of December. But there is a reason that it reminds me of A Christmas Carol. He's the ghost of Christmas past. She's not exactly Scrooge. Ghost of Christmas past, Nolan Callahan intends to spend this holiday haunting like every other. Get in, get out, return to his otherwise aimless existence as a ghost awaiting the afterlife. But when he's faced with Harriet York, the sweetest assignment he's ever had, he suddenly finds himself wishing for a future. Harriet York has no idea why she's being haunted. She's a good person, or at least she tries to be. A people pleaser to her core, she always does what's expected of her. But as she and Nolan begin to examine her past, they discover there are threads that bind them together, and realize there might be more to moving on than expected. With the deadline of Christmas Eve fast approaching, will they find the key to their futures in each other's pasts, or will they stay firmly in the present, indulging in their unexpected, spirited connection? So yeah, romance inspired by A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, which I love A Christmas Carol so much. It's one of my favorite stories. And I read the original source material, like the original book, which I had never read before, even though I'd been like exposed to so many adaptations for my whole life. But I read the original one a few years ago and fell in love with Dickens's writing. I really need to read more Dickens, honestly. But I know that this isn't going to be written in the same way at all. But I also just love the story of A Christmas Carol. And so a romance that is inspired by it really got my attention. Plus, it sounds so cozy and beautiful, and it's such a pretty book. And I really like reading things with my mom that I think we'll both enjoy. And this is one that I think is really going to like be a nice, cozy holiday read for the two of us. All right, and then the last 5 that I have all came from a company called Yiggy Bean. That's Y-I-G-G-Y Bean, all one word. So there are a number of Danmei novels that have been published in English. There are so many that have not gotten an English publication at all that I think sound intriguing. But there are some that have been published in English, but not by US publishers. So getting a hold of copies can actually be quite expensive with shipping. However, I recently discovered Yiggy Bean's website, and if you spend over a certain amount, they do free US shipping. I think they're based in Canada, or maybe they're based in the US, but they have books from these publishers. Specifically, the 2 that I'm super interested in are Rosme and Via Lactea. I know Rosme is a Canadian-based publisher. I think Via Lactea might be as well. I'm not completely sure though. But I was so excited. I did place 2 orders with them, and so this is the first order. I got 5 books from Rosme, and I'm super excited about them. So the first one that I have is Coins of Destiny by Priest. Now, I read Guardian by Priest last year, I believe it was, and I enjoyed it. It wasn't my favorite Danmei, but I did enjoy it, and the premise for this one sounds so fun. It's also really pretty. And then the naked hardback, or paperback, because these are paperbacks, but the naked version is gorgeous. Look at that. It's so pretty. But I don't know if these have a premise that I can read. They don't. But I do remember that Coins of Destiny involves a cultivation clan. Yep. I think maybe it's like falling apart or dying or something along those lines. I don't remember, but I really was interested in the premise of it. I'll have to like read it and have more to say. Plus it's a standalone, which I haven't really encountered many standalone Danmei before. But it also came with some goodies. We have a bookmark, a postcard of the cover art from the Naked book, and a cute little chibi person who I'm guessing is one of the main characters. I don't know, but it's very cute. And I'm sorry that I'm not gonna have a ton to say about these. I usually like read the synopses, but they just don't have them on these volumes, but that's okay. The next one that I have is book 1 of Drowning Sorrows in Raging Fire, also by Priest. So here we have, this one also has a dust jacket. So when we take the dust jacket off, we have the illustration on the Naked cover, which is, again, beautiful. Oh, I forgot to show you. Well, I guess that one doesn't really have it, but this one has this really pretty, like, I don't know how well you can see it. It's like textured and shimmery. I don't know. It just intrigues me. And it also came with some goodies. We have, again, a bookmark with a phoenix on the back, which is very pretty. A postcard. And a little chibi guy who looks really sad, but really adorable. This one, I do remember a little bit more about the premise. One of our main characters like sacrifices himself to save the world, I think, and then is reincarnated or put to sleep or something and wakes up in the future, and meets someone, I think, from his past who he has a connection with. The premise honestly reminded me a lot of Guardian, which interested me. I'm interested to see how they differ from one another. But I've seen so many people talk about how much they love this online, and so I really want to try it. And I also really like that dichotomy between the historical and modern settings that you see in Guardian, and that I'm assuming we're going to see in here. I hope we see it more in here because it wasn't as prevalent in Guardian as I wanted it to be. But this one is the first in a series, so I did only get the first one because I do have some self-control. And I want to try it to see how I feel before I order any more. Then I have another first book in a series, and that is volume 1 of Everyone Loves the Cannon Fodder by Chi Zai Shanyong. And I may be pronouncing that incorrectly. I really wish, I say this all the time, but I really wish on the pinyin, which is when you write Chinese words with English letters, that people would put accents. So this one does not have a dust jacket, but it does have French flaps, and again, like a textured page on the inside. This one isn't shimmery, but it's still cool. I'm not sure why they include that, but I really like the look of this one, just like the aesthetic of the cover. I don't know, I just really like it. And this one came with a little art print with the characters, again, as little chibis. Another little postcard. And another little art print that looks like a film reel. And I love that all of these have stuff on the back. Like, that makes me happy that the backs are not just blank. This one, I believe, is a transmigration or isekai story, if I'm remembering right, where our main character wakes up as the doomed best friend of the protagonist. I'm pretty sure that that's what I'm remembering. And there's romance, obviously, that ensues. I'm pretty sure that that's the premise here. I really wish they would put the little blurbs on these, but it's okay. It's really pretty. I mean, I like that they're not on the back, but I wish that they were on like the inside somewhere. But yes, I love a good isekai transmigration story, and that one sounds fun. So, and then we have another isekai story, and this one kind of has a funny story. I had ordered, this one did get picked up by an English publisher, like not English publisher, an American publisher, and I had ordered it from Barnes & Noble over a year ago. My pre-order got canceled, so then I looked on Amazon. It was still up for pre-order. I pre-ordered it on Amazon, and it was delayed over and over and over and over and over again. So when I found Yiggy Bean and saw the Rosme edition available, I canceled my Amazon pre-order and got the Rosme edition. And so I'm really happy to have it now because I've been waiting on it for over a year. And that is volume 1 of How to Survive as a Villain by Yiggy is the author's name. And this edition has a really beautiful artwork on the cover. I mean, it's gorgeous. And again, it has French flaps and a textured page with like a marbling effect of a sort on it. And it also came with goodies, of course. So we have a bookmark. This is my favorite bookmark so far. It's so pretty. I love the pinks and blues and purples together. It's so pretty. A little chibi guy. Again, I don't know who he is, but he looks very cute. A postcard of the cover art. And then a little frame, I guess, that you can put a picture in. I mean, it's really pretty. Don't really know what to use it for, but it is very pretty. So this one is another isekai or transmigration story where our main character wakes up as the villain in probably a novel, I imagine, or a novel series, and decides that in order to prevent himself from meeting the original character's original grisly fate, he is going to like suck up to the protagonist, and I'm sure we can guess where things go from there, but yes. I'm excited to read this. I'm sorry, but I really like isekai stories. I just think they're really fun. Something about it. I just recently read the first book of Lord of Mysteries by Cuttlefish That Loves Diving, or Cuttlefish That Loves to Dive, and I just really like a good isekai. I just think it's so interesting to see how these people respond to waking up in a different world or in a story, especially when they are familiar with the original content of the story. I just think it's really interesting. And then the last one that I have is, again, a standalone, and that is You're Too OP by Yi Xiu Luo. And this one, again, really, really love the color on this cover. Like, it's just so pretty. And it has French flaps and a sparkly, I don't know how well you can see that, page in it. And a couple of goodies. We have a postcard of the cover art, and then a little art card that, again, something about it is just so cute. I really like this style of art where it's really like pastel and adorable. It just makes me think of spring, and like it's so cute. But this story, we follow 2 people who play video games, and one of them is like super OP, overpowered in the game. And that's all I can really remember about the premise right now. I apologize, I have headache brain, but I do remember that when I read the premise online, I thought it sounded really, really fun. It's also, the cover of this one is kind of shimmery. I don't know how well you can see that either, but I just really like the aesthetic of it too. It's just so cute. So, and that one's obviously like a modern day setting, which you don't see as much, or at least I don't see as much in the Danmei I read. So that's going to be interesting. So yeah, anyway, that is my book haul for the month of October. Quite a few things, although the big stack of Harry Potter books, obviously I read all of Harry Potter, so they're just kind of like me indulging in my magpie tendencies to collect things. So, but I am super happy with this. I'm super excited for all of these, all of the new series and things that I really want to start and get into. And then I'm really happy I was able to get these Rosme titles. Because Drowning Sorrows and Raging Fire specifically, I have been like looking to see if it was going to get picked up by another publisher for like over a year. And I'm so happy that I'm like finally able to get a copy of it. Or at least since last year, because I think it might have been published last year. I don't remember. But anyway, I'm just really happy. And I have another Yiggy Bean order that's going to come in with some Via Lactea titles, which I'm also really excited about. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. Again, I'm so sorry for the inconsistency with my content. I am trying. I promise I'm trying. Hopefully things will improve going forward. But thank you guys so much for sticking with me. I really truly appreciate it. But I would love to hear what books you guys have been picking up lately, or what books you've been reading lately, or if you're interested in any of these now that you've heard me talk about them. Again, I'm sorry for the Rosme titles specifically that I couldn't give you much information on them. I was not aware they didn't have blurbs on the physical books. But yeah, I would love to hear, like I said, what you guys have been picking up lately. If you guys would like to leave an emoji, I know, let's just do a little pumpkin emoji. You can do a pumpkin or a jack-o'-lantern, whatever you want to include, and we'll just have a nice little pumpkin patch. Just because as we're moving out of Halloween into Thanksgiving season, obviously it's still Halloween weekend when I'm filming this, and I'm still feeling very much in the Halloween spirit, but when this video is posted, it'll be a week later. So, you know, let's just do some nice little pumpkins. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you're having a wonderful day or a wonderful night wherever you are, and I hope to see you in my next video.